The US-Iran peace deal is facing its first major test, just days after it was signed. Talks that were expected to begin in Switzerland on Friday have been called off after Iran refused to send its delegation while Israel continued its attacks on Lebanon. US Vice President J.D. Vance was reportedly packed and ready to travel to the Birkenstock resort, where American and Iranian officials were expected to begin technical talks on implementing the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding. But his trip was postponed as fighting intensified in southern Lebanon. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Saeed Khatibzadeh said that Iran was ready to continue the diplomatic process with Washington, but only if the United States showed seriousness and ensured that Israel respected the terms of the agreement. According to Iranian officials, Article 1 of the MOU says, ending the war in Lebanon is an integral part of the wider ceasefire arrangement across all fronts.
We have to make sure that no spoiler is going to spoil this very momentum in the history of this region and probably in the history of the world, because we are trying to make a lasting stability in this region. Israel has shown, Netanyahu has shown to everybody, the Zionist regime has shown to everybody that they are capable of spoiling and sabotaging and manipulating any process which may lead into a lasting peace and the lasting stability in this region. So, no, I'm sure that you understand, everybody understands, that why Iran is asking that the United States shows that not only it has the will, but also has the capacity to deliver what it has already signed. So this is the time, once forever, that United States shows that it has the will and capacity to be abided by the deal that they have already started and this MOU that they have already signed. We are going to start a very intensive and also very serious rounds of negotiation after we have signed this MOU. So the reason that we are preparing all the grounds for this serious negotiation is to make sure that what is going to happen in the next few weeks is just leading to a sort of lasting stability in our region. And this is why that we have to make sure that all parties are serious and are abided not only by the spirit of this MOU, but also by terms and conditions and boards embedded in this MOU.
Khatibzadeh warned that Israel's continued military action could have serious and immediate consequences. The latest escalation has been deadly. Lebanon's health ministry said Israeli airstrikes since midnight killed at least 47 people and wounded 97 others. Israel claims it struck more than 150 Hezbollah targets and killed dozens of fighters, while Hezbollah says it repelled a 4-day Israeli offensive at southern Lebanon. The Israeli military also reported that 4 of its soldiers, including a battalion commander, were killed in the fighting. But Israel is not only continuing operations in Lebanon. In Gaza, Israeli attacks have also continued despite the broader US-Iran deal being framed as a step toward peace across the region. Al Jazeera Arabic reported that a Palestinian woman was killed and several others wounded in an Israeli strike on one apartment in central Gaza City. According to Gaza's health ministry, more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks since the US-brokered ceasefire came into effect in October. UNICEF says Israel has killed at least 265 Palestinian children in that period, averaging 1 child killed every day since the truce was announced.
For many, many months, the world has been told there is a ceasefire in Gaza. Yet for Palestinian children, this so-called ceasefire has become a cruel and a deadly illusion. Since the ceasefire was announced in October last year, 265 Palestinian children have been killed across Gaza. That is an absurd, that is a devastating figure. So during a period supposedly defined by restraint and protection, a child is killed on average every single day for more than 8 months. Now, let's be clear what that means. These children were not killed in a war zone. They were killed in their homes. They were killed in their schools. They were killed playing football. They were killed fishing. They were shot. They were bombed. They were struck by quadcopters. While the world continues to speak the language of ceasefire, families in Gaza continue to bury their children. However, if a child is being killed every day, surely the debate now is no longer about the quality of this ceasefire, it's about the credibility of calling it one. The killing of children, it's not the consequence of a lack of options, it is the consequence of a lack of political will. Every day that passes without responsibility sends the same message. Palestinian children's lives can be taken without accountability. This is no longer a failure of the system. It has become the system.
The Islamabad MOU was meant to pause hostilities for 60 days and create space for talks on some of the most difficult issues between Washington and Tehran, including Iran's nuclear program, sanctions relief, frozen Iranian funds, and the future management of the Strait of Hormuz. It also included steps to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important energy routes. The latest UK Maritime advisory has kept the threat level in the waterway at moderate, down from substantial 2 days earlier. It says the southern route near Oman is open day and night, but warns ships to remain alert because of mines and ongoing naval clearance operations. Iran says it will continue to provide navigation services in coordination with Oman and will not impose passage fees during the 60-day period under the agreement. But while the maritime track appears to be moving, the political track has stalled. President Donald Trump has defended the MOU against critics in Washington, saying Iran came to the table from a position of weakness. He also said the US would play out the 60 days, referring to the negotiation period under the deal. At the same time, Trump has publicly pressed for a complete ceasefire on all fronts, including between Israel and Hezbollah. US officials have also issued rare criticism of Israel, with J.D. Vance warning Israeli leaders against undermining their most powerful ally. That marks a significant shift in tone from Washington. Successive US presidents have been quick to back Israel, but Trump now appears concerned that Israel's actions in Lebanon could derail a deal he wants to present as a diplomatic breakthrough. Israel, however, says it will continue military operations in southern Lebanon to remove what it calls threats from Hezbollah.
מעבר לקו הצהוב ומעבר למרחב ההבטחה הקדמי, אנחנו פועלים כדי להסיר איום בהתאם להסכמים. אנחנו מכבדים הסכמים ונמשיך לפעול כדי להסיר איום כל איום. לגבי ביירות, מקומות אחרים בלבנון, שוב פעם, אנחנו פועלים על פי הנחיות, כל עוד לא נונחה אחרת, נמשיך לפעול על פי הנחיות הקיימות כרגע.
Some Israeli officials are also pushing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to take a harder line against both Hezbollah and US pressure. That leaves the deal in a fragile position. On paper, the US and Iran have signed a framework to end more than 100 days of war. In practice, the agreement now depends on whether Washington can restrain Israel, whether Iran stays in the process, and whether violence in Lebanon and Gaza can be brought under control. For now, the Islamabad MOU has not collapsed, but the first round of talks has already been delayed, and Israel's actions in Lebanon and Gaza are testing whether this deal can survive beyond the page it was signed on.